Mei Lian opened her eyes. The ceiling was white. The fan was turning slowly. The window was the wrong window, too small, too far left, and then she understood why. She was 23. She lay in her childhood bed without moving. She could hear her mother in the kitchen below, the sound of the walk, the particular rhythm of morning in a house she had not lived in for 8 years. Except it was still 8 years ago and she had never left. She pressed her fingers against the mattress. Real. She pressed them against her own face. Also real. 2 days. She had 2 days before the blind date. She did not panic. Panic was a thing she had done in her first life, quietly, in bathrooms, in the dark spaces inside her own chest. She had promised herself, somewhere in the last seconds before everything went black, that if she ever got more time, she would not waste it on panic. She got up. She washed her face. She looked at herself in the mirror, 23, unmarked, no 8 years of careful erosion written into her skin yet, and she made one decision before she went downstairs. She was not going to the blind date. Her sister Rome was going to go instead. Rome was 20 years old and eating rice at the kitchen table when Mei Lian came downstairs. Their mother was moving between the stove and the counter with the focused energy of a woman who believed that feeding people was a form of control over the universe. "You look tired," her mother said, not looking at her. "I slept fine," Mei Lian said, and sat down across from Rome. Rome was beautiful in the way of people who have no idea they are beautiful. She talked with her hands. She laughed too loudly in quiet restaurants. She believed, completely and without evidence, that love was always available to anyone who wanted it badly enough. In another life, Mei Lian had found this exhausting. Now she found it something closer to precious, and also something closer to useful. "I heard something about the men Mama arranged for me to meet," Mei Lian said, keeping her voice easy. Rome looked up. "Oh. Someone who knows him said he prefers women who are warm. Lively. Someone who makes a room feel lighter." She paused. "I am not sure that is me." Her mother stopped moving. This was the tell, when Mama Chen stopped moving, she was calculating. "You are plenty warm," her mother said. "I am quiet," Mei Lian said. "There is a difference." Rome put her spoon down. "What does he look like?" And there it was. The small hook, taken freely, with both hands. Mei Lian smiled into her rice bowl. "I only heard he is very well put together." Rome said nothing for the rest of breakfast, which meant she was thinking about it, which was the same as agreeing. The blind date restaurant was on the 14th floor of a building Mei Lian had eaten in 17 times in 8 years of marriage. She knew the menu. She knew the lighting, which was amber and very flattering. She knew that the men her mother had arranged for her to meet would arrive 4 minutes early, order tea before anyone sat down, and compliment the restaurant's wine selection within the first 10 minutes to signal that he was a man of taste. She knew all of this because she had been there the first time. Because it had worked on her completely. She sat in her apartment instead. She ate instant noodles. She watched the clock the way you watch something that cannot hurt you anymore. Rome called at 10:30. "He is remarkable," Rome said. Her voice was the voice of someone who has just stepped off a ride and is still spinning. "I am so glad," Mei Lian said. Both things were true. In completely different directions. The man's name was Shen Hao. His family had money that was old enough to feel like character. He was tall, good with words, remembered small details the way some people remember birthdays, precisely, and with purpose. He knew what Rong's favorite flower was by the third date. He remembered the name of the dog she had as a child. He stood up when she left the table and sat back down only after she returned. Mei Lian, watching from a careful distance, recognized all of it. She recognized it the way you recognize a trick you have already seen performed, not with admiration, but with the particular attention of someone looking for the moment before the reveal. She did not interfere. That was the most important thing. She made herself useful in small, invisible ways. She helped Rong choose dresses for occasions. She listened to every story about every date. She asked questions that sounded like interest and were also, quietly, like keys being turned in locks. Does he ever make you feel like you said something wrong? She asked once, 2 months in, her voice light as a comment about weather. Rong thought. He goes quiet sometimes. But he always explains it later. That is kind of him, Mei Lian said, and moved the conversation forward, and let the question sit in the room like furniture that doesn't quite fit and that Rong would eventually notice. She met Gu Wei by accident. She was coming out of a small bookshop near her office, the kind of shop that smells like old paper and good decisions, when she walked directly into someone walking in, and her bag went sideways, and his coffee tilted, and 3 books slid across the pavement. They both apologized at the same time, which made apology impossible. He helped her pick up the books. He read their spines while he handed them back. He did not say anything about what they were. She noticed this because some men, when they see what a woman is reading, will make a small performance of having opinions about it. He handed back the last one, a book on structural engineering, which she had bought twice before and never managed to finish, and he said, "You dropped this one twice." "I keep buying it," she said. "I think buildings are trying to tell me something." She had not meant to say that out loud. It was too honest. It was the kind of thing she had spent years not saying out loud. He looked at the book, then at her. "What are they telling you?" She didn't know how to answer that yet, so she didn't. He didn't press. He went into the bookshop and she stood on the pavement for a moment with her bag on her shoulder and the feeling that she had just done something slightly wrong, except it didn't feel wrong. She went back to the office and worked very hard for the rest of the afternoon. Shen Hao proposed on a Tuesday, in a restaurant that required 4 months' notice for a reservation, with a ring that had clearly been thought about. A professional photographer was placed at a discreet table. The photographs were beautiful. In every one, Rong was crying the way people cry when they are certain they are in the right place. Mama Chen sent the photographs to everyone she had ever met, and then some people she had only met once. Mei Lian sat with one photograph on her phone screen for a long time. She looked at Rong's face, completely open, completely full, and she felt something uncomfortable move through her that she did not have a clean name for. It was not guilt. She was clear about that. She had not pushed her sister toward anything. She had arranged a coincidence and let human nature do the rest. Rong had chosen this, freely, at every step. And yet. She turned the phone face down and made tea and stood in her kitchen with the particular feeling of someone who has done a thing correctly and is not entirely comfortable with it. She wrote a list that night. 2 pages. Every early sign she had missed in her first life, in order. The way Shen Hao's face changed when he was privately pleased about something. The particular quality of his silence when he disagreed. The way he remembered every small thing about her as a resource, not as affection. The phone, 3 weeks before the wedding, and her making excuses for it before he even finished apologizing. She filled 2 pages and then stopped, because more felt dishonest. The list was long enough. 3 weeks before Rong's wedding, Rong called on a Tuesday. Her voice was the voice of someone who had recently been crying and had stopped and was now talking in the careful way people talk when they are trying to seem fine. "He went through my phone," Rong said. Mei Lian sat down. Rong kept talking. He had been worried about a message she might have missed. He had felt terrible about it. He had apologized sincerely and at length and she believed him and it would not happen again and she understood he was just anxious because he cared. Mei Lian waited until Rong finished. "How did you feel," she said, "when you found out?" Rong was quiet for a moment. "Small," she said. Then she corrected herself, "For a second. Just for a second." "That matters," Mei Lian said. He apologized. "That also matters. But those are 2 different kinds of mattering." Silence. Long silence. "Then, what are you saying?" "I am not saying anything. I am asking what you are saying." Rong hung up after a while without answering the question. She called back an hour later and talked about something else entirely, and Mei Lian listened to all of it, and when they said good night, something in the air between them was different. Not better or worse. Just different. The kind of different that comes right before understanding. She saw Gu Wei again at the engagement party, where he appeared because he knew someone from Rong's firm, which was coincidence. Mei Lian verified this in her mind because she had not yet started thinking about him in the way that would lead her to arrange anything involving him. They ended up on the balcony at the same time, which was also coincidence, or near enough. He had a glass of water. She had wine, held in a way she had recently become aware of, the index finger extended slightly along the stem, a habit she had picked up from Shenhao without noticing. She switched the glass to her other hand. "Your sister looks happy," he said. "My sister is happy," she said. Not the same sentence. She let the space between them be. He looked at her for a moment. The city spread out below them, very lit, very busy. "You think in long timelines," he said. It was not a question. She looked at the buildings. All that weight, carried quietly, invisibly, in ways you would never know unless you knew where to look. "Do you think," she said, "that some things can only be learned from the inside of them? That being told does nothing?" He considered this properly. Not quickly, the way people answer things quickly to show they already understood. Actually considered it. "Yes," he said. "I think some lessons have no outside door." She nodded. It was the most precisely correct answer anyone had given her to anything in 8 years, or 8 years plus 8 more. 1 week before the wedding, Rome postponed it. She told no one the exact reason. She said she needed more time. She said she was certain she loved him. She said she was not sure those two things meant what she had thought they meant. Shenhao, who had grown up in a world that said yes to him, handled this with tremendous visible composure. Mei Lian watched him in the family meeting. Their mother called and she watched the corner of his mouth, and it was doing something she had never seen it do before. Not the small private satisfaction she had seen so many times. Something tighter. Something controlled with effort. Rong saw it too. Mei Lian could tell by the way her sister went completely still, the way people go still when they see something true that they were not ready to see. Some lessons have no outside door. She ran into Gu Wei for the 3rd time at a dinner party 3 weeks after the wedding that did not happen. He was in the kitchen when she went in looking for water. He was standing near the refrigerator, also looking for water, which she found almost funny. "You look like someone who watched something work out," he said. She took a glass and filled it from the tap. "Something like that. Does it feel the way you thought?" She turned around. He was leaning against the counter, unhurried. She had been collecting the word for how he moved and this was the right one. Not slow. Unhurried. There was a real difference. "Less clean," she said. He nodded. He did not tell her that she should feel better about it. He did not offer to explain why she was right or wrong. He stood in the kitchen with her while the dinner party made noise in the other room, and she felt, for the first time in what may have been both lifetimes, genuinely unguarded. "I think I have a book you actually need," he said, and took out his phone and photographed something before she could ask, and showed her a title. It was the structural engineering book. Different author. "Same question," he said, but more honest about what it didn't know. She looked at him for a moment. "Drop it off sometime." "I was going to anyway," he said. She believed this completely, which was new. 2 months later, on a quiet evening in Mei Lian's apartment, Rong sat across from her at the kitchen table with a bowl of noodles and the face of someone who had just finished something hard. The engagement was over. Rong had ended it herself, in a private meeting, which was the most alone she had ever handled anything. "Did you know?" Rong asked. Not accusing. Actually asking. Trusting her enough to actually ask. Mei Lian looked at her sister. She thought about complete honesty and useful honesty and where exactly those two things overlapped. "I thought he might not be what he appeared," she said. "I didn't want to decide for you. I wanted you to be the one to see it." Rong looked at the table. Then at her bowl. Then at Mei Lian. "That is a strange way to love someone," she said. "Yes," Mei Lian said. "It is." Rong was quiet for a while. She ate some noodles. Then she said, "When he went through my phone, I knew in that first second. I should have trusted that." "You did," Mei Lian said. "Eventually." "You are genuinely difficult," Rong said, and reached across the table and stole noodles from Mei Lian's bowl, which was the most normal and correct thing that had happened in a long time. After Rong left, Mei Lian sat by the window with the structural engineering book. She understood now why she kept buying it. Buildings do not announce how they are holding weight. They simply hold it. You have to already know what you are looking at to see it. Her phone lit up. Gu Wei, finished it. There is another one, same question, more honest about the gaps. Dropping it off this week if that works, She wrote back, it works. She looked at the city outside. She was 23 years old. She had already lived 31. She had made choices in this second life that she was not entirely comfortable with and would not unmake, which meant she was finally at peace with the kind of person she was. She had not saved Rome from anything. She had arranged the conditions for Rome to save herself, which was a different thing and harder and the only version that would last. She had not planned what was happening with Gu Wei, which was also a different thing, the first unplanned thing in 2 lifetimes, and she did not know what to do with it yet except to let it be exactly what it was. The kettle started its whistle from the kitchen. She let it whistle for a moment. She sat with the city and the book and the quiet and the strange, unfamiliar feeling of a life that was genuinely ahead of her. Then she got up. Not quickly. Not slowly. Just ready.